So you think there has to be a downside to living in San Felipe? I guess. I don't know. Well, outside of the non-existent issue of violence in Baja, there is one thing that continues to give people pause when it comes to living in Mexico, and that's the distance. Now, for me anyway, when anyone said Mexico, before I discovered Baja, of course, the first thing I thought of were our vacations in places like Mazatlan and Cancun, Tulum and Playa del Carmen. Now, those places are a long way away, hours in an airplane, and then there's the rental cars and everything else, but it was always worth it. But San Felipe and Rancho Costa Verde? Again, we're not talking mainland Mexico. This is Baja. We're right here in America's own backyard. In fact, it's only a 2.5-hour drive, as I've said, from the border in Calexico to San Felipe, and then another 45 minutes down here to Rancho Costa Verde, where it's great for all of us to have families still in Southern California. But to put it into a perspective that most of us living in American cities can understand, when I was working before I retired, or semi-retired, I guess, on a good day, it took me 2.5 hours in freeway traffic to get from our front door to my office in downtown LA. And that's in mind-numbing, ulcer-causing, bumper-to-bumper freeway traffic. And if we just wanted to head down to the valley to see the family or maybe do some shopping, it was exactly a 45-minute trip. Again, more times than not in traffic. Now, when our home gets finished here in Rancho Costa Verde, it'll be the same 2.5-hour trip from California border to San Felipe, and the same 45 minutes to Rancho Costa Verde. Only this time, it's on the new wide-open Highway 5, not on the streets and highways of California that rank last in infrastructure and maintenance and first in traffic. And instead of arriving ready to argue with a government bureaucracy or the angry opposition or brave the shopping malls with their insolent crowds, now we'll be getting here ready to enjoy the friendly town people, the good food, the magnificent beaches that we have here in Baja. Even at night you can see them. So you see, it really is all relative. 2.5 hours in stop-and-go traffic or 2.5 hours of cruise control. I voted for the latter. Now, I know what you're thinking. He must have left something out. There must be something else. No place can be this good. But I got to tell you, it really is. And if I did, let's talk about it in the next chapter. Okay, so that's how we're powering the development, but how about waste disposal? I mean, the whole development is sitting right next to the Sea of Cortez, an ecological wonder, and the place that, again, Jacques Cousteau called the world's aquarium. It's the most protected sea sanctuary in the entire world, and the government banned septic systems here years ago. Well, here's another instance where the development team was way ahead of its time. By incorporating a then groundbreaking technology known as aerobic biotreatment into individual systems, Rancho Costa Verde not only satisfied the governmental strict oversight committees, it won accolades from the country's top eco-groups whose sole mission it is, and was then, to protect Mexico's rich heritage for the future generations. So you see, each home here is equipped with an underground extended bioaeration waste system that's no larger than a couple of 55-gallon drums that are turned on their sides, which are buried so they're never going to see the light of day again. And inside this two-chamber process, air and oxygen are introduced into the organic matter that comes from the home, which sits in the first chamber. And that agitates the waste and promotes its natural growth of bacteria, growth that in turn digests the organic matter in the liquid. And after aeration, the mixture is introduced into the second chamber where it rests, allowing the now suspended solids to settle right to the bottom of the chamber. And it's this continual process that results in the purification of the liquid being separated from the solids and coming out as simple garden water that's 98% pure H2O. Clear enough and clean enough, almost to drink, but certainly enough to irrigate plants and other landscape around the home. And the smell? There is none. The bioorganic process filters out most of the compounds that cause the smell in the first place, and its chlorinator eliminates any danger of incidental bacteria. in addition to reducing water consumption and its attendant cost. This aerobic treatment system also greatly reduces the biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD, which is a common measure of air pollution. In fact, the unit is so economical, so eco-sensitive, and so environmentally safe that the entire system uses just 67 watts of power and creates enough water to easily sustain the home's landscaping. So the result is, outside of the inspection caps that are typically integrated into the landscape and never seen, the only thing that's going to reveal the system's even in place is the landscaping and green grass that our residents may have outside their homes. All because Rancho Costa Verde was committed to doing things a better way, a cleaner way, and a more ecologically responsible and economically conservative way. All right, so it's getting late, and there's only one question left to be asked. What have I left out? What am I not telling you? Nothing. I can honestly tell you with a completely clear conscience this. After representing just short of 1,500 mostly real estate developer clients over the span of about 36 years, clients that ran the gamut from private citizens to the Kaufman and Bros and Griffin Homes of the world, I gotta tell you, I've seen and heard just about everything there is to see and hear when it comes to developments and their developers. I've heard it all. And while I was constantly, let's just say I was reinterpreting the facts relative to their projects, I've only seen one development, just one, where the developers were so committed to the environment and so committed to the homeowners who would become clients in their development. I couldn't find a single thing wrong with this place. And believe me, I looked everywhere. I mean, after all, to us this was personal. This was our money and our house. This was our home, our retirement, or now semi-retirement home. In essence, I was representing us, and believe me, short of California's coastline, respectfully, we could have easily afforded to go anywhere. But we ended up right here, because the place is simply perfect. But you know what? Don't take my word for it. All you have to do is ask some of the people who live here. And this is a community where, like most communities, people love to talk. If there's something wrong, you're going to hear about it right away. People like Andy and Terry Press Dawson are friends who spent their entire lives as collegiate educators. Would you do anything differently if you had it to do all over again?
It would have been nice to have come sooner, but it wasn't really happening that much sooner than we came. I don't know if I would do anything differently.
We often say we have no regrets about the decision. You know, it was what we wanted to do. We wanted to create a new adventure for this chapter in our lives. And it was a really, I'd say, pretty easy transition here. And we are very, very glad that we made this decision to be here.
Or soon-to-be neighbors Ray and Bonnie Alduenda. Now, he's a decorated veteran LAPD homicide detective, and she's a well-respected and equally decorated FBI agent with years invested in public service as an undercover narcotics agent who infiltrated a number of the cartels you hear about.
Tell you from my perspective, it wasn't because we were introduced to the place. I've been coming to Mexico forever. But we've been to Hawaii, we've been to I've been to Europe, scuba diving.
Been to Florida.
The Red Sea.
Been to Florida.
Been to Florida. We've been to the Caribbean, Cabo, Puerto Vallarta. I grew up, going to Puerto Vallarta. But they're a little busy for my taste. And when we saw this place here, I mean, literally before we left, we bought a lot. That tells you everything. I fell in love with it also, as my husband. But more importantly, it was just that peacefulness, that clean air.
Yep.
You can feel the clean ocean breeze. The ocean is clean. There's the mountains, beautiful view, both ways, east and west. And it's just a perfect place for us to live and just get away from the hustle and bustle from the city.
No. San Felipe and Rancho Costa Verde are places that really have to be seen to be believed. They're a throwback to the 60s and 70s when places like Cabo was still a sleepy little fishing village, and Mazatlan was only known to the fishermen of the world, back before people actually discovered these quaint, quiet little seaside gems, and, well, they turned them into the thriving but crowded, very expensive luxury home and tourist destination that they've become today. And in the process, I don't know about you, but they put them well beyond our means and most people that we know. Now, is it for everybody? No, it's decidedly not. In fact, it takes a special person to appreciate Rancho Costa Verde. Someone who wants to get away, truly get away from all the busy streets and neon nightlife associated with most Mexican tourist destinations. And it takes an appreciation for the pitch blacker than black nights out here, because they're punctuated only by the wandering moon and the stars in the heavens. It's all it takes to fall in love with this little piece of Mexico. Oh, and it takes one more thing: a respect for the environment. A respect for the environment to understand and value why a developer would take the time to set aside 89% of the otherwise marketable land and then use only the remaining 11% for home sites that are on average twice to 3 times the size of conventional properties. Properties that are connected here by seemingly endless natural trails, untouched, just so the flora, fauna, and animal inhabitants could be preserved for the enjoyment of the residents who, like us, wander their way to the beach on the endless untouched pathways. And it takes a special appreciation for someone who would map the layout of the properties just so that each and every homeowner would be assured of a lifelong view of the majestic San Pedro de Martir mountain range out one door and the truly remarkable Sea of Cortez out the other. So again, is our Rancho Costa Verde a community for everybody? No, it's really not. But for those of us who have been there and done that, as they say, in life, or for those of us who are just looking for a second vacation home or with the kind of peace and quiet that's uniquely Baja, combined with a wealth of scenic and recreational opportunities right outside the gates of our secure, guarded community where residents can appreciate the fact that they can still afford a custom-built home on the sand or in a seaside community just a stone's throw away from the California border. This place really is paradise found.